to ensure you have sufficient sand to do the job. Don't try to install a pool wall on a windy day, and if possible, get extra workers to help with the wall installation. Start by spreading the liner out in the sun in a protected place, which will help you remove the wrinkles later. Be careful not to leave it too long to avoid scorching the grass underneath. Place 2 pieces of plywood or heavy cardboard at one end of the pool where the filter and pump are to be located. Place the rolled up pool wall on one of the pieces and correctly position the "This Way Up" label and arrow. Carefully cut the straps and begin uncoiling the wall. This will loosen the coil and make it easier to unwind. To help the pool wall fit into the track more easily at the buttresses, use a screwdriver to bend the outer edge of the base rail slightly open. Begin by inserting the end of the pool wall into the base rail on one of the round ends where you would like the pool filter and pump located. The end must be centered over a base plate in order to conceal the joint behind one of the verticals. It's a good idea to have one person hold the end of the wall in position while the remainder is installed, but you can use a ladder and a length of duct tape to temporarily hold this section upright. The top of the wall must be covered by slotted tubes as you proceed. Be sure to use a buttress tube over the rails between buttresses. Use transition tubes over the transition base rails and end tubes over the end rails. These tubes are color-coded or identified by part number. Slotted transition and end tubes are left about 1/2 inch, 13 millimeters apart, and are joined with a 6 inch, 15 centimeter metal slotted tube connector centered over each base plate. Slide the connector over the end of one tube and slide the next tube into the connector. Continue to work your way around the pool, uncoiling the pool wall and relocating the pieces of plywood or cardboard as necessary. When you reach the first buttress, be sure to use a transition tube next to the buttress and a buttress tube between the buttresses set about 4 inches or 10 centimeters apart. These slotted tubes are all connected using a plastic tube connector which goes inside rather than outside these tubes. After making these connections, temporarily support the wall by duct taping it to the buttress verticals. When you have uncoiled the entire wall, you may find that the ends overlap too much or don't quite meet. Remove the wooden blocks from the base plates and gently tap them from the inside with your foot to spread the round end slightly if the end overlaps, or from the outside to tighten up the round ends if there is a gap. When you have the wall ends aligned, double check that you have each base plate still the proper distance from the wooden end stakes. If it is not, it may be necessary to remove and redistribute the wall. Otherwise, the pool may not be symmetrical, and you will have difficulty installing the top rails. Place a screwdriver through the holes near the bottom of the pool to maintain alignment. Join the wall ends with a few bolts and nuts. The bolt heads go on the inside of the pool and the nuts on the outside. Now double check that the top of the wall is completely level using a surveyor's transit or a string and line level. If it's not, remove the wall and re-level the base frame. Add the remaining bolts and tighten them securely, being careful not to strip the bolt heads, which could leave a metal burr and damage your liner. Cover the bolt heads with duct tape. Then secure the tube connectors to the slotted tubes with pieces of duct tape, making sure you maintain a 1/2 inch, 13 millimeter gap between the slotted tubes. Remove the wooden stakes and fill the holes they leave, tamping the area down firmly. You can now reinstall the styrofoam pieces you have prepared for the base, covering all the seams with duct tape. If you are using a sand bottom, rake out the sand to a uniform depth right up to the base rails and smooth it out as evenly as possible. Whether you're using sand or styrofoam, it's necessary to construct a cove with brick sand about 8 inches 20 centimeters wide and 6 inches 15 centimeters high up against the pool wall. This gently rounded cove is an important part of the pool structure and is critical to preventing liner failure. Along the sides of the pool where the buttress makes the wall scallop slightly, the cove will be a little narrower and shorter to maintain the horizontal line of the pool bottom. Prepare the liner by stretching it out fully smooth side down. Fold the liner up along the horizontal length, working from both sides to the middle. Carry the folded liner to the pool and position it in the center. Drape the liner over the wall. and temporarily hold it in place by attaching a few inches of the flexible coping. Working your way around the pool, keep draping the liner over the wall, letting it hang slack. Once the liner is draped over the entire wall, adjust its position by gently tapping on the liner with a soft bristled broom just above the cove until the seams are evenly positioned around the pool, and fasten it in place with the flexible coping. Locate a vertical column, and making sure you remove the wooden spacers in the base rail, place it over the small tabs on the base plate. Fasten it to the column using 2 self-tapping screws. Roll up any excess liner on the outside of the pool inward, and carefully tuck it over the top cutout of each vertical. Tape it in place between verticals near the top edge of the pool. Do not cut off any of the excess liner. Hook a top plate over the edge of the pool wall and lower it onto the top of the vertical column, with the tabs of the top plate on the outside of the column. Use a level or follow the ridges of the pool wall to ensure the columns are perpendicular. Fasten the vertical to the top plate. At the buttress verticals, remove the duct tape holding the wall in place and install a top plate. Once all the top plates are positioned, you can add top rails. Start with the side rails, which go between the buttress verticals. These rails have square cut ends. Notice that the top plates have a series of holes marked A, B, and C. Fasten the side rails to the top plate through the holes marked A with 2 self-tapping screws, but leave the screws loose for the moment. There are 4 transition rails which go between a buttress vertical and a regular vertical. These are a slightly different shape from the other rails and are marked with a colored dot underneath. Place the end of a transition rail over the top plate on one of the outside buttresses. Fasten the transition rail to the top plate of the buttress with self-tapping screws through the holes marked B. Again, do not tighten the screws completely. Only the end of transition rails which fasten to the buttress uprights use these holes. All other side and end rails are fastened through the holes marked A. If your top plates look like this, just fasten each rail in the 2 holes provided. After you have all the top rails in place, go ahead and tighten all the screws securely. Now follow the directions that come with your top connectors to assemble and install them over the verticals. Complete the filling of your pool and installation of the pump and filter using the instructions that come with them. As an important safety measure, apply the 4 no diving, no jumping labels that have been supplied with your kit to the top rails. Spread them evenly around the pool. Post the vinyl safety sign that has also been supplied so that it is visible at the point of entry of your pool. Congratulations on your successful installation of an Atlantic Channel Lock 1 above ground pool.